Representative Schemel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Three quick questions for three different testifiers. So we certainly know about the irregularities and inconsistencies. You just detailed an inconsistency, and you can't prove a negative. That's why you can never prove votes that were never allowed to be cured. But in regard to allegations of fraud, I have a question first, and forgive me, I don't remember names, but the gentleman here from Philadelphia who was denied admittance to observe in a poll. You described being denied the ability to get into a polling place. Did you seek to be admitted to any other polling places and were also denied?
I could have gone to other polling places where I heard there was problems, but we decided to move on to other problems. What was her name? I was actually at her polling place that when she was being totally harassed. I was one of about 5-6 guys to stop the harassment.
So there was no polling place that you sought admission to in and around the city of Philadelphia that just allowed you in when you displayed your orange card?
I probably could have gone to that entire ward and had the same problem. We went out of that ward because there was other problems going on that day.
Okay. Next question for a gentleman next to you, from the attorney from Florida. You were observing polls and the processes in the city of Pittsburgh. I believe that you described being kept away from being able to observe the tabulators and so forth. That was a problem we certainly saw in other places in the city of Philadelphia. When you were eventually allowed to get closer, where perhaps you could see the ballots and the votes, did you observe anything different about the behavior of the tabulators? Did their behavior change? Did their methodologies change? Anything to lead you to think that they were conducting the process one way when you weren't observing, in a different way when you were?
In the first instance, we were never really able to get, there was only one element of the process where we were able to actually get reasonably close to see what a tabulator was doing, and that was with overseas and military ballots. When overseas and military ballots come in, they come in a different format that's not readable by the machines, and so there's a individual that takes the ballot and then keys in the votes for the voters. And of that group, we could see about 3 or 4 of those people doing that transposition of those ballots. Beyond that, and that was for a very short period of time on actually Friday evening, Friday after the election, they were beginning to tabulate overseas and military ballots. With that singular exception, we couldn't actually see any ballot at that particular moment that you ask about. There was no opportunity to ever really see any ballot other than that situation. And there was one worker that was within, 8 or 10 feet of us at the edge. And we did, in fact, see him do 35 Biden military ballots all in a row, which we found to be kind of curious. But it did not... what he was doing did equate with the papers that he had in front of him.
Okay, thanks. And my final question for Mr. Giuliani. You've alleged fraud within our voting system, and we've heard a lot of anecdotal evidence, we have as representatives and senators, and you've presented a good deal today. But amongst the affidavits you have, do you have any affidavits from anyone who could be qualified or could be quantified as a whistleblower, who actually was part of the fraud and is now willing to testify as to the fraud?
Yes, we do. We have, I believe, I have to check this, but I believe sometimes I get the states a little confused. But I believe there are 3 that would need a subpoena to protect themselves in order to testify.
Okay, and then I would presume that's
and I would say
legal...
at least one of them is a Democrat.
Okay,
I'm not sure the other 2.
Part of your legal claims, I would assume.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
And if there's a subpoena process, we could work with them to come forward. And they're frightened for their jobs, and I don't want to make too much of it, but they're also frightened for their physical safety. I mean, this is a case in which one of our chief lawyers in the case, had to leave because his family was threatened, his little children were threatened, for representing the President of the United States. That's not America.